My name is Evelyn Hart, and what I'm about to share with you transformed every aspect of my life. On January 3rd, 2024, I didn't just have a brush with death, I died for 8 minutes and 14 seconds. During that time, Jesus Christ revealed to me truths so profound that I feel compelled to share them with you. These truths are not just about the trials we face today, but also about the greater challenges that lie ahead for humanity. Before that day, my life was, by all appearances, normal. I was a project manager for a tech company in Austin, Texas, juggling deadlines, managing teams, and sipping my fair share of cold brew coffees. I attended church sporadically and considered myself a believer, but looking back, my faith was lukewarm at best. My days were a blur of meetings and emails, and my spiritual life felt like an afterthought, a box to check off rather than a living relationship with God. That fateful morning began like any other. I was driving to an early client meeting on a road I had travelled countless times before. The air was crisp, the sun rising just enough to cast a golden glow over the city. I remember glancing at my phone, a quick check of the navigation app to avoid traffic. That moment of distraction changed everything. A truck swerved into my lane, and the collision was unavoidable. The impact was deafening, and everything went dark. But having survived, she was able to strain her frozen shoulders from the... What happened next defies earthly explanation. One moment I was in excruciating pain, and the next I was weightless, floating above the wreckage. I saw the crumpled metal of my car, the frantic efforts of the first responders, and my own body lying motionless on a stretcher. There was no panic, no fear, just a surreal calm, as if I were watching a scene from someone else's life. And then came the light. The light wasn't just bright, it was alive. It enveloped me in warmth and love, so tangible that it felt as though every wound, every hurt I'd ever experienced was being healed in an instant. The world around me faded away, and I found myself moving toward the source of that light. It was as if I were being drawn by an invisible force, a pull that resonated deep within my soul. As I moved closer, I began to hear music. Not like anything I'd ever heard on earth. It was a symphony of voices, harmonizing in a language I didn't know yet somehow understood. The melodies carried a sense of eternity, of glory beyond words. Each note seemed to tell a story, a piece of a greater truth that I was only beginning to comprehend. And then I saw him. Jesus Christ stood before me, radiant and majestic, yet approachable and tender. His presence was overwhelming, not in a way that frightened me, but in a way that made me aware of just how small and incomplete I was in comparison to his perfection. His eyes, oh, his eyes, held the depth of the universe, yet they looked at me with such love and understanding that I couldn't hold back my tears. "Evelia," he said, and his voice resonated through every fibre of my being. It wasn't just sound, it was truth, washing over me like a wave. There are things you must see, truths you must carry back with you. The time is short, and my people must prepare. In an instant, the scene changed. Jesus touched my shoulder, and we were no longer standing in that glorious light. Instead, I found myself observing the earth from a perspective I can only describe as divine. I saw cities bustling with life, people moving about their daily routines. But something was deeply wrong. There was a darkness creeping into every corner, subtle yet pervasive. "But watch carefully," Jesus said. And scenes began to unfold before me like chapters in a book. I saw advancements in technology being celebrated as the pinnacle of human achievement. Devices implanted in hands and foreheads promised convenience, security, and even enhanced abilities. They were marketed as tools for progress, hailed as the solution to identity theft, medical emergencies, and global communication. But Jesus showed me the truth behind these innovations. These devices were not mere tools. They were the groundwork for something far more sinister. I saw how they would become mandatory, first for government employees, then for private sectors, and eventually for all citizens. Those who resisted faced isolation, their ability to buy, sell, or even participate in society stripped away. "The mark will not come as they expect," Jesus said, his voice filled with both sorrow and urgency. "It will come as a solution, a promise of peace and security, but it will lead to bondage. My people must discern the truth." The vision shifted, and I saw something beautiful amidst the darkness. Small communities of believers stood firm, shining like beacons in a storm. They were not large or powerful by worldly standards, but their faith was unshakable. These groups had chosen to reject the systems of the world, building networks of support and alternative ways of living. Jesus explained, "My children must prepare now. They must strengthen their faith and build communities rooted in love and truth. They will face trials, but I will be with them. Through their faithfulness, many will come to know me. I will also become to them. Many will come to me. Many will be their brother." I watched as these believers shared resources, supported one another in prayer, and lived out their faith with courage and humility. The next vision was the most sobering. Jesus showed me the eternal consequences of accepting the mark. I saw people who had once professed faith in him, but had chosen convenience and security over truth. Their decision wasn't made in a single moment, but through a series of compromises, each one leading them further from God. "Tell them," Jesus said, his voice heavy with compassion, "no convenience is worth their soul. I will provide for those who trust me. They must not fear, for I am with them always." I saw how those who accepted the mark gradually lost their ability to perceive spiritual truths. Their hearts hardened, their connection to God severed in ways that couldn't be undone. Yet amidst the sorrow, Jesus also showed me the beauty of those who remained faithful. Some faced persecution, even death, but their sacrifices inspired others to stand firm. Just as he had provided manna for the Israelites in the wilderness, he would supernaturally provide for his faithful ones. As the visions unfolded, I saw a time of both great darkness and incredible light. Jesus showed me how the pressures of this world would lead many to question their faith, yet for others, it would ignite an unshakable commitment to him. I witnessed young believers, children even, standing firm with a boldness that belied their years. Their faith wasn't something inherited or superficial. It was forged in the fire of trials. "These are my faithful ones," Jesus said, his tone both solemn and joyful. "In the midst of deception, my spirit will move powerfully. Where darkness increases, my light will shine even brighter." I saw gatherings of believers, small and hidden, worshipping in secret. Their songs were not elaborate, but carried a purity that seemed to pierce the heavens. In their midst were miracles, healings, prophetic words, and supernatural peace that defied their circumstances. They had little by worldly standards, yet their joy overflowed, their trust in Jesus unshaken. But the vision also showed the cost. Families were divided as some chose faithfulness to Christ, while others succumbed to the pressures of the world. Believers lost jobs, homes, and even their lives. Yet their perseverance became a testimony, drawing others to the truth. "Tell my people," Jesus said, "this time is not to be feared, but embraced. It is a refining fire, a preparation for what is to come. My Spirit will sustain them, and their faith will be a light to those in darkness." Then, Jesus showed me a glimpse of what lay beyond the trials, a vision of restoration that filled my heart with unshakable hope. The scene shifted, and I saw the new heaven and new earth, a place so beautiful that words fail to capture its splendor. It was as if every longing, every ache I had ever felt found its fulfillment in this place. The streets weren't just gold. They seemed alive, reflecting the glory of God. Rivers of crystal clear water flowed freely, their currents carrying a peace that resonated deep within me. The air was filled with music, not just from voices, but from creation itself. Every tree, every blade of grass seemed to sing praises to the Creator. Jesus walked with me through this restored creation, his presence bringing clarity to everything I had seen. "This is what I have prepared for those who love me," he said, his voice filled with joy. "Every tear, every trial will be redeemed. My people will dwell with me, free from pain, fear, and death, forever." He then showed me the multitudes of believers reunited with loved ones, their faces radiant with joy. They weren't idle or floating aimlessly. They were engaged in work that brought them profound satisfaction, each task a form of worship. I saw artists creating masterpieces, scientists exploring the mysteries of creation, and leaders guiding with wisdom and humility. It was a glimpse of humanity fully restored, living in perfect harmony with God and each other. But amidst the beauty, Jesus' words carried a final warning. This future is for those who endure, who remain faithful. Many will be deceived by the temporary comforts of this world, but those who stand firm will inherit this kingdom. As the vision began to fade, Jesus turned to me with a sense of urgency. "Evelyn, you must share what you have seen. Not everyone will believe you, but those who have ears to hear will understand. Tell them to prepare, not with fear, but with faith. Tell them to draw near to me, for I am their refuge and strength." I felt Mizam. His hand on my shoulder, and waves of love and purpose washed over me. "The time is short, but my grace is sufficient. Lead them to me, and I will guide them through every storm." With those words, I felt myself being drawn back. The light faded, and the sounds of earth began to fill my ears. The first thing I heard was the steady beep of a heart monitor, a sound I never thought I'd be so grateful for. I opened my eyes to see the faces of doctors and nurses, their expressions a mix of shock and relief. Since that day, my life has never been the same. I left my career in tech, dedicating myself to sharing the truths Jesus revealed to me. Some have called me delusional, others have dismissed my testimony outright. But there are those whose hearts have been stirred, whose faith has been rekindled. I don't share this story to frighten anyone, but to prepare them. The trials ahead will be daunting, but the hope and joy that await are beyond comprehension. Jesus' love is unshakable, and his promises are true. My prayer is that everyone who hears this will choose faith over fear, truth over deception, and Christ over the fleeting comforts of this world. Let me know if you'd like further expansions or adjustments to other sections. Now back to my conversation.